This is not a normal podcast. Look around. We're on an island in the James River in downtown Richmond. Sharps Island, it's called. People camp here, fish here, party here. For over 200 years, Richmonders have built structures on this island. Inevitably, those structures were washed away, but the Richmonders, like myself, keep coming back, keep building, trying to gain a foothold. Why? For us, the water that surrounds Sharps Island isn't a barrier, it's a threshold, a doorway to a magical place. This acre of rock and sand surrounded by the city, yet somehow completely secluded. On this podcast, our guests have to get in a boat and leave the world behind. I hope you'll come with them. Tim, on Friday I was out here. None of these rapids to the left existed. Like the tide covered every single one of them. It was amazing.
That's awesome.
It was like, it's just, I don't understand what's going on. This is the highest and lowest tide range I've seen.
Well, mate, I mean, so low. It's just so low everywhere.
Right. But then when it's high, it's super high. All right, we did it.
Good morning. How are you?
What a day, huh?
It's so nice out.
Yeah, if you either pull me up or just give me a hold there, I should be good. Thank you, sir. Look at that service.
Good morning.
Good morning. Good to see you.
How are you?
Good.
Welcome, dude.
Thanks,
It's exciting. Have you been here
We've met
before, like
before.
fishing or
We
anything?
had that orchestra show together. Years
That's
back.
right.
Yeah.
How are you?
Great to see
Awesome.
you.
Right on.
That's it.
Man, that was a fun time.
Oh, wasn't it amazing?
He was telling me about that. How long ago was that?
I can't remember.
It was,
I'm really bad with
2016 maybe?
Oh, wow. Way pre-COVID.
Yeah,
2017, 16, 17, yeah.
something like that.
Welcome.
Thank you.
to Sharps Island. Have you been out here?
Oh
like
yeah, I've
fishing or
been here.
anything?
Yeah, definitely been out here.
I love talking. Yeah, the guys, like true river, like Richmond River people are always like, they're always kind of sheepishly like, yeah, man, I know your island. Like, that was kind of my island before it was your. And I'm like, yeah, I get it.
Well, you know, there is like a very
ridiculous.
public domain aspect to the river.
100%. There's a reason we don't have any like posted signs or anything. Like it's a ridiculous thing that people own this, right? So like, I just want people to use it and have fun. You know
Yeah,
what I mean?
without a doubt.
And just take your stuff with you when you leave. That's all.
Yeah, dude, I spent the morning, you know, the city just
let's
put
walk
it
this way.
The city just put in those great like trash removing stations.
Andrew Ali was just telling us about that.
Yeah, they look great, except unfortunately my morning was spent collecting the grabbers and buckets that people took from them and threw into the river or
Are you serious?
over the train fence or
Already, like they were cold.
I mean, 2 days ago, my daughters and I cleaned up the ones that were thrown all over the 22nd Street parking lot.
Jesus.
And this morning I collected the ones that were thrown into the railroad tracks.
I don't know what the solution to that is, right? It's like,
I don't know either.
like seriously?
I don't know either.
People are rough. Well, here, welcome to the.
All right, so I have not been to the new and improved
Right, so,
Sharps Island.
yeah, welcome. This
Thank
is,
Hang on, I want to hear what train's coming.
oh yeah.
Give me a sec.
Yeah, go take a look.
You can't see it
Tim,
from
you
here.
just missed two. We're hoping, especially for you, this has like been our dream.
Well, that was the.
There was two engines. You see the two engines went
Yeah,
by?
they just dropped some corn syrup off at the Pepsi plant.
Oh, so you know where they were going.
Yeah.
Like, so when they were
I
coming
could hear
back
them.
here,
I was over at that stop line right there. When
we were hoping they were coming back to, hook up and come back this way, but maybe not.
No, they're probably
already
done. Those guys that was their job for the morning.
That was it.
So this is pretty amazing.
So yeah, check it out, dude.
Now this is great. I do want an old RTD box for my front yard.
This was, Crossroads Coffee Shop right
Yeah,
there
of
in like
course.
Sam's Park. I was good friends with the owner, and years ago he was like, dude, he's like, I called them for years. They just won't come get them. They don't care. They don't want them. He was like, yeah, you can have it.
That's
So
great.
We turned it into a little free library, but I was joking with Andrew, your friend Andrew,
Yeah.
about how it's like you got to tell people in advance because people take them. Now I got like 5 books left. It's like nobody knows when they get here, so they don't have any books.
I should bring some books.
Yeah. This was my project the last 2 years that we just kind of put the rooftop deck was the finishing touch like 6 months ago.
That's great.
I Oh, here you go. Hold on. We got some swag for you, man. Look
Oh,
at this. It
swag.
got a little bit wet coming across. And I don't know if it'll
okay.
fit you, but maybe someone in the family.
It'll fit.
What do you
That's
think?
awesome.
That's pretty sweet, right?
Yeah, that's cool. That's really great.
We make different every year. We have like an owner's party, Sharps Fest, and we make T-shirts.
This
for
is
everybody.
awesome. This
yeah.
is a great shirt.
That's just river water. It's
That's
good
all
for
right.
you.
I'm fine with that. I'm looking at how y'all lag these in and stuff.
Oh yeah, those are through the wall. You can see them sticking out.
Yeah.
You can give yourself a.
It's very cool.
With Andrew out here, it started raining, and we moved the podcast in here, which was kind of fun.
Thank you for this, by the way.
Yeah, absolutely, dude. We've done. We did one up on the rooftop deck.
Oh, that's awesome.
But you, let's see, Andrew Frieden did it up here. I think we're gonna do it up here today.
Cool. Oh, this is
kinda-
great. Did you make this?
The stove? Yep. No, that was from a previous iteration. So this is the third structure that we've had here. I had a little A-frame that got washed away, and then I built a platform, and I got one of these like it was like a guy in Montana makes these like sweet custom like canvas tents. And that all the poles got jacked up in a thunderstorm.
Hey, I'm Tim.
And this
Case.
stove
Good to
went
meet you.
with that tent. So like you can imagine the floods we've had over the years. So that stove was one designed for the inside of that tent, and it had like stovepipe hole. And anyway, all that we have left from that effort is the stove itself. So.
Well, I mean, that's a reality of Sharps Island, I
Yeah,
guess. I mean, it's
100%.
the legacy and the history of Sharps Island.
Yes. Yeah, you would love. I don't know if you've done any research, but the history here is incredible.
Yeah, I mean,
Here, I'll show you.
I'm a
Have you seen the
history
foundation?
nerd, so yeah, I mean, I've been out here. I would say that the first time I read about Sharps Island in the 90s, I ended up coming right out
Checking it out. Okay,
and exploring the foundation. I've slept out here many times.
No way.
And oh yeah,
That's
I mean,
so cool. So yeah, here's the.
yeah,
You've seen this.
This is, but still, I can see it once,
It's mind blowing,
and
isn't it?
and I can keep coming back because it really, I mean, this is a testament to this strange fabric of life
Yes.
in every city
Right.
and its history. I mean, this is like the idea. Well, so here's the question that I have, and
Right.
I've had so many times that this is the one thing about Sharps Island, the question that I can't get answered.
Right.
And maybe you know, how did they commute?
So
The
they.
family themselves, did they commute from the put in here, or did they come from Mayo?
That's what's so hard, because you have to imagine it's like impossible for us to imagine this place. Maybe you. I moved here in 2000. Flood wall was already done. So
Yeah.
they didn't have a flood
I
wall.
remember when they built it.
From all the primary sources I've like gathered, it was built in 1895. So yeah, to your point, like I don't think there were just like simple outboards in 1895, were there?
No, but
You know what I
and
mean?
so usually you would use a ferry system
so
with a pulley.
That would have been a guess, but I've not. There's this weird gap. There's lots of references to the island from 1853 until like the 1870s, and it's always about like Manchester people partying on Sharps Island.
That's
Literally,
awesome.
I can show you
That's great.
some of these things. It's like Manchester people, and then there's a gap, and then in the 1920s, there's a bunch of references into through the 1950s. And then in the 70s is when this guy Henry Tenzer bought the island from Russell Sharp, burnt the house down, and tried to build this
Is there any
crazy.
pictures of the burning?
Yes, there's
You have?
one.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I mean, it was either Times Dispatch or News Leader, one of the two. There's an amazing picture of, because he petitioned the city like let him burn it down, which can you imagine? Like,
Yeah.
I'm gonna set fire to a 2-story house, and it's him like kind of throwing his head back laughing with like flames rising up. It's
way.
amazing. It's
I mean,
amazing.
that's amazing.
He's actually my neighbor. The guy did that just by chance.
Wait, the guy who
The guy who bought
the property
island
and burned it?
was a guy named Henry Tenzer, local architect, super cool guy, and petitioned the city because what they started doing was building this kind of like avant-garde cube structure. That was his goal, but he bought it in 1968.
Oh, the cube. Yeah, I got.
Have you seen? There's like drawings of that were in the newspaper at the time. But then, so he bought it, and that was his plan in '68. And then in '69, Camel, '72, Agnes,
yeah.
with river levels that he just gave up.
Yeah. Amazing.
It's crazy. But 1895, they were hauling, bricks out here.
Well, so that's the question. That's the one thing I've never been able to figure out. Like, I mean, building the structure, sure. Like, how did they
Once it's
commute?
out here,
Like,
yes.
did they wait for low tides and low river levels
Right.
to haul everything? Did they have a ferry? Did they
It's hard to imagine too, because
would have bringing their groceries home?
right,
Because they're not gardening. There's no chickens floating down the river.
right,
You know?
right. There's
They did have chickens here.
They
they did have chickens.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. But
Okay, so I was
They
wrong
had
about
a
that.
bridge at one point.
Okay, so
But
that's
that was that was like 1800, like early 1800s. There's an image from 1822, like a painting of a bridge from Mayo Bridge, the existing Mayo Bridge at the time. I can show you all this stuff.
Oh, yeah, I'd love to see
It's
it.
super cool. But I
I love that stuff. I mean, I really love
I
it.
totally agree. And when you start digging into something like this, you get there's all this tangential, like the Mayo Island history is fascinating. And then the Vauxhall, have you read about that? Like
Yeah.
political barbecue gone awry, or people died in the river, and
Yeah.
like, it's just so cool.
We always call that Buzzards Island.
Yeah.
Because of
For that
what
exact reason.
you're framing right there.
Right. Well, and all of these islands have like more than one name, like that was Devil's Kitchen Island, but also Kitchen Island. That was like Shad Island and Vauxhall. Yeah, there's like a Bailey's Island. I love this stuff, dude. I'm with you.
Yeah, I mean, I can't get enough of it.
I agree.
And that's what I really loved about the podcast that y'all did with Tim Roberts.
Tim Roberts, yeah.
Fantastic.
Isn't he a cool guy?
He's so cool.
Yeah.
I remember when Josh had invited me to go to Bell when they were doing the sort of like walk around.
Yeah,
and he
yeah.
was doing like the
sort of tour.
first kind of like excavations to see what
Right.
could be there. And I wasn't available. And then when I listened to the interview, I was like, oh man,
Yeah, and
I
when
wish I had been
when he
there.
talks, you're like, whoa, this guy is.
He is out, man. He's
Yeah.
so cool.
He's so passionate about it.
People love musicians and look up to them. The musician looks up to the archaeologist.
Guy like that, yeah. That's cool.
I mean, he's my favorite of y'all's interviews.
It was super fun.
1, 2, 3.
All right, Tim Barry is one of those Richmond musicians who feels like part of the city's bones, I think it's safe to say. From fronting the legendary punk band Avail to carving out a solo career, which I would say, rooted in storytelling and emotion. Safe to say you've carried Richmond with you through it all, right?
Yeah.
Welcome.
Thank you very much for having me.
It's exciting to have you here. So you've played packed punk clubs, and you've played quiet porches. Where do you feel most at home playing music these days?
I really love playing in 250 capacity venues that are sold out.
Okay.
That's where I'm most happy. And to give you a Richmond example of that, and this is no disrespect for the great staff and great rooms of like the National or the Broadberry, but
Right.
I love the Camel.
Camel.
I just love it.
Right there on
And
Broad.
if there was a Camel all across the country,
Right.
that's where I play.
So that's that's about 250, 200, somewhere in there.
It's
what it holds?
250. Yeah. So like if I'm in Manchester, New Hampshire, I want to play Shaskeen, which is a 200 capacity club. I'm going to play Crossroads in Garwood, New Jersey, a 300 capacity club. Like that's where I love to be.
How come?
I just feel more connected.
Okay.
There's something that I do at almost every show, and I'll go, I'm playing an acoustic guitar and I have a microphone.
Right.
I can do anything I want.
Right.
I can play anywhere I want. I can play without being plugged in, but I'll often go into the crowd and do songs in the crowd.
Okay.
And it's not sort of like for an ego boost or for the spectacle of it. I do it because that's when the music becomes real,
Right.
and the room becomes one big band
Okay.
instead of a middle-aged man inflating his ego
Right.
by everyone singing along. And I really, the sing-along and the community feeling of playing in smaller rooms is the reason I keep doing this.
Interesting.
And the fear of it, like it's almost easier to play on a big stage in a big venue because you're detached from the crowd.
Holy crap.
And I think I'm also addicted to the fear of performing, where there's like a real anxiousness. I don't really have stage fright like I once did, but there's just something, the anticipation, it's not as big, it's not as real when you're on a big stage, especially if you're with a band.
Okay.
If you imagine, all right, so for those who don't know my music or understand it, welcome. I don't either. But
We're all gonna
I'm
figure this
not-
out together.
I'm not a great singer. I'm not a great guitar player. So what you're left with is me on a stage trying to figure out how
Okay.
the hell to do this.
Right.
With a guitar that's essentially a prop
people
and
love your music.
and a voice that's just.
So what are they connecting with?
I think we're just connecting together because I think maybe the lyrical content unintentionally is relatable.
Okay.
And I really, like my daughters, I have 2 daughters, 11, one's about to turn 11 and one just turned 13. And they'll say like, I don't like listening to your records, but I love watching you live. And I think the records become like reference points to what's going to happen live.
Right.
And what people are connecting to maybe is the energy of the room. We're all coming back for the celebration. I think especially now, like people are in a bad way. I mean, we got to kind of admit that like
Right.
there's a lot of sadness and
Anxiety.
fear and anxiety.
Right.
And I think like kind of leaving that outside for the night and coming in to celebrate for a couple hours is really recharging. And I think like right now where I am in music, that's what feels right to me. So to go back to it, the Camel,
Right.
it's a great place to play.
That's
And if
that's
there
the
was
place.
if there's one in every part of the country, that's
Right.
where I'll go.
What's like a normal day in the life look like right now? Do you sit down to write music every day, or does inspiration hit you randomly?
So I have never in my life sat down to write.
Yeah.
It's almost a burden that's kind of followed me my whole life where like when a song shows up, I have to kind of drop everything.
Yeah, drop everything. Right.
A day in my life looks like getting up at 5:45, getting my kids ready, taking them to school,
Gotcha.
coming home, running the loop.
Going for a run.
Usually run the loop. Yesterday I did it twice because I'm getting ready for the half.
The whole James River. I used to call it the Butterbank Loop, Buttermilk and North Bank. That
Yeah,
loop?
I just call it the loop. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's a great name
Butterbank.
for it.
That's not bad, right?
That's a great name for
Yeah.
it. Yeah. The 7-mile loop,
Right.
door to door.
Did it twice. That's a big one.
Yeah, I've been doing it twice, once a week, getting ready for the half marathon. I'm really kicking myself. I'm glad that I didn't sign up for the full marathon. I have too much on my plate this year, but
Right.
I'm eager to try it. I still have never
Never
run
done a
full.
marathon. Okay.
I've done the half multiple times. I think this is my 4th time. I finally did the River City half, which is really fun.
Is that the one in Ashland?
No,
That
this
was
is the one that happens in March, and it
Okay.
goes through like Windsor Farms. It goes through West River Hills.
Oh, and then, okay. Nice.
Goes up
Cross the
Nickel
Chicken
Bridge. It's a nice bridge to run up.
That's a good
at
steep
mile
hill, right?
10 or
Right.
something. But yeah, and then if you are sitting next to me on an airplane, and you ask what I do, I'm going to say music retail management. I'm never
Yeah.
really going to tell you.
Right. What if I
And
keep asking?
then when I come home from my run, and before I go back to pick up the kids and be dad taxi, I do sort of like the desk work aspect of the management side.
Right.
So today it's ordering merchandise, working
Right.
with designers on designs,
But that's a
doing
result of
logistics for
having produced music for so long. I would imagine at some point there was you've written a lot of songs.
yeah, maybe too many.
Is that so right now you're not in the like you haven't written a ton of songs recently. It's more management of the existing
No, totally incorrect.
Okay, all right.
So right now I am knee deep in recording a new record
Nice.
at Space Bomb.
Okay.
And I probably have 3 to 5 more days of tracking to do.
Yeah.
We're doing some bass overdubs.
Well, when are
I
you
get
doing
home
it? I
from
mean,
Florida.
you got a dad taxi, you got to get your runs in. When are you doing this? At night?
No. We keep like a proper schedule. We usually
Okay.
work 10 to 4.
Okay.
And that kind of accommodates like everybody's schedule. Most of the people that I have Matthew E. White producing it,
Okay.
and Alex pushing the buttons, doing
Okay.
engineer work, and I have Trey Pollard and Cameron Ralston and Pinson in there with me, and my daughter Leela's coming in next to do some vocals.
Is that your older daughter?
Yeah, she sings with me.
She's singing with you. That's cool.
She's been singing with me actually since she was, 11
That's
on
cool.
stage.
So she talk about people that don't have stage fright.
Well, she
As an
no,
11-year-old.
this is actually it's the how She does have stage fright.
Okay.
But Leela has been traveling with me off and on for a long time.
Okay.
And a couple of summers ago, we took a road trip, a daddy-daughter road trip, where basically we just kind of like putzed around the Northeast, New York City, New Hampshire, Montreal, upstate New York, like that kind of thing.
Just two of you.
Just the two of us. And I'd scheduled shows in there.
Okay.
In Manchester, New Hampshire, and Garwood, New Jersey.
Okay.
And when she travels with me, I always have a microphone up because every night we sing at home. I mean,
Okay.
it's just like what we normally do.
That's
and she's
awesome.
got a great voice, and she retains the lyrics, and she really understands like the feelings behind music in a way that is kind of old soulish. And I know
Yeah.
a lot of people want to talk up their kids, but like she really does have this honest to God old soul.
That's cool.
But so in anticipation of the trip, I said, you know, you're always welcome to sing whenever. And a lot of the shows that she's at, she has no interest in climbing behind the microphone. And about a year and a half, maybe 2 years ago now, right before that trip, our close friend and old Richmond friend, Larry Floyd, passed away.
Okay.
And the family and friends asked me to come and play some songs at his memorial, which I'm usually reluctant to do, but Larry, he was just one of the good ones.
Yeah.
And the connection was something that I felt like I wanted to be there and,
Right.
and felt good about it. So I was just going to do a couple songs and I was just started a John Prine song, Please Don't Bury Me.
Right.
And Leela jumped up and sang.
That's
And I
cool.
thought, this is like the gift that one person leaving leaves the next who's here for a while.
Yeah.
And it gave, whatever happened with Larry Floyd's passing or his spirit, it gave my daughter, who was seriously ridden with stage fright, the power to go up and sing the song with her dad. And after that, she's been able. So
That's awesome.
so to toot her horn a little more, on that trip, she killed it. I mean, it was
Really?
crazy. Yeah, she would come up and sing songs with me, like accompanying me, and she did a couple on her own. She did, she loves to sing Traveling Soldier by the Dixie Chicks. She always says, this reminds me of
This is stuff you
Grandpa.
practice every night, to your point.
We
It's
just,
not like
yeah,
she's just winging
not,
it. Like,
not winging it. She
Yeah,
knows
you
the
know
songs.
what
She
to
chooses
expect.
what she wants to sing.
Right.
But anyway, long story short, you know, like in November, I do 3 shows at the Camel. She opens them. I mean, I play guitar, but you know, she's singing those songs. I just had shirts designed for her.
That's amazing.
She really she's really cutting the line on this.
That's amazing. Well, we'll get to, that's Novemberfest, right?
Yes.
So that's, I want to ask you about that. I want to go back a little bit. With Richmond in the 90s, I didn't move here till 2000, so I sort of missed the Avail heyday. I mean, you guys were the heartbeat of that scene in the city. What do you remember most vividly about your punk days in the 90s?
They're long and complicated.
Yeah.
But I would say that, like, if we were the heartbeat, we didn't know it.
Okay.
I think that's the first foot to put out there, is when you're in the process of what we were doing,
Right.
you don't really recognize it as it's happening.
Okay.
Like, I don't think there was one day that I got off a stage and was like, wow, there was a lot of people at our show in
Right.
Berlin.
We're killing it, right?
You know what I mean? Like,
We're going to be huge, right?
and looking back on Avail seems more, the perspective is clearer than when it was happening.
Interesting.
So I don't know how to explain it other than we had this drive that I don't understand now.
Okay.
Like, I don't know what our outcome is. Life has changed and the world has changed so much since those days that, like, you know, if social media existed, I would think that we were doing it for streams or likes or
Right.
follows.
Right.
But I'm not sure what we were gaining.
Those
'cause we
things didn't exist,
We
right.
barely made any money.
Okay.
We all lived in the same house.
Right.
So we would go on tour and come home to our own, and there's nowhere to go, you know? And we toured constantly. I mean, all over the world, just in loops.
Right. We had Ed out here, and he was telling us a little bit about that.
At Trask.
Ed Trask, yeah. He was a drummer at one point, right?
Yes.
And he told us some of that. I know it was originally it started in Northern Virginia, but it's a band that's obviously tied deeply to sort of Richmond's identity. Did you realize that at the time that it sounds, you kind of answered that, but I'm just curious about how deeply connected to Richmond it became.
I think there's a weird way, as a person who is so deeply involved in it, it's hard to see it from an outside perspective.
Yeah.
But I will say, as a person who's been analyzed, you become what they want you to be.
Interesting.
So a band that starts in Northern Virginia, I should also note that the band that started in Northern Virginia has kind of no bearing on the band that became Avail as people know it.
Got it.
Because I wasn't in the band.
Right.
And the band didn't take shape until I stopped playing. I was the drummer at one point, and the band didn't take shape until Eric Larson and Chuck McCauley became the rhythm section.
Got it.
And then I moved to the microphone.
Got it.
So
who was the drummer?
Well, I was the drummer, then Eric Larson and Chuck McCauley. Chuck played bass and Eric played drums. And it was then that the band really became what people recognize as Avail.
Okay.
And I should say that like the very first record that Avail put out, I mean, everybody has their own perspectives of music. I think it's awful, but most of it is trying to re-record the original songs from the Northern Virginia days with like different members.
Got it.
And that's the first record that came out with that core lineup that I'm talking about.
Satiate?
Yes.
1992.
The Dixie record, I think, is the one that's where Avail really started.
Where people recognize it as, if you were there in Richmond in the 90s, that's the sound that you
Well, I mean, all
recognize.
over. That's where we just shot all over the place.
Gotcha.
We're bigger in Louisville, Kentucky than in Richmond, Virginia.
Really?
If that gives you an example of how strange it...
And to your point, there's no social media. People aren't going on YouTube and saying like, man, we love this. Like, so what, you played one great show there and all of a sudden word gets around?
I kind of remember exactly how it happened. And remember, this is pre-email. I mean, 1994, I set up our first European tour using a fax machine.
Right.
I mean, this is real. I mean, it's totally real.
Right.
And I can expand on that because it is kind of interesting. No, I remember very well in 1990, early 90s, very early 90s, 92, 93, in Dayton, Ohio, outside of Dayton, Ohio, there was this first of many punk music festivals. It was called More Than Music Festival. After More Than Music Festival, all the ones that emulated it were just shows with too many bands.
Right.
But this one actually was a music festival. And what it was people from all over the country with like minds congregating in this weird warehouse in the middle of the woods in Dayton, Ohio. And we got together and everyone met each other.
Right.
And all of these guys and ladies were setting up shows in their houses or in their VFW halls all across the country. We all exchanged phone numbers, and Avail went on their first tour built on that network with me calling people on telephones, writing down directions.
Right.
There was no contracts. I would send a self-addressed stamped envelope that said, here's the confirmed date. Can you send the directions back?
Right.
They would handwrite the directions. This is no joke.
Yeah.
But so Avail,
MapQuest.
but Avail,
It's
what I
amazing.
realized again in retrospect, what Avail was doing was things that other people weren't. We were going on these tours all over the place. And, fast forward, the band breaks up and then we get together for a couple reunion shows. And this is in 2018, 2019.
Okay.
And, sitting with the guys and like having meetings, there's very little confidence that anyone's going to care. And we have 2 shows at the National held.
Right.
And I'm like, I think the first show will sell out. I'm not sure about the second.
Right.
But we're going to do 2 shows. Like, that's how we're talking. And people are just like, I think this is a bad idea. Like no one's going to care. And the shows sold out instantly. And it's actually, that's a whole nother, that's actually a really interesting story too. But what I realized with how quickly the shows sold out was what it meant to people from all over the world that we came to Danville, Illinois, or playing the trailer park in Biloxi, Mississippi.
No way.
I mean, we played everywhere. I mean,
That's so
we played in living rooms in Birmingham, Alabama, and so for the 5 people in that living room in Birmingham, Alabama, that was special.
Yeah.
And it stuck with them.
Right.
And so when we came and did these reunion shows, those are the people who came, the people who were like, this really meant a lot to us. So, yeah, Avail's legacy is complicated for me to understand.
Right.
And where I fit into it.
Because you lived it.
Because I lived it, and because I'm so far removed from it.
Yeah.
Because I've been touring on my own longer than Avail was together.
Yeah.
I have more records out on my own than Avail was.
How did you decide, like, how did the band, what's the thumbnail version of the band breaks up and you go out on your own? Did you want to do that? Is that what broke the band up? What happened?
No, I never, I don't think I have ever intended much of what's happened in my life.
Really?
Yeah, I kind of am just a person who's always doing stuff.
Right.
And then things fall into place, I guess. So Avail wrote together, but I was a primary songwriter, especially with the guitar player Joe Banks, because I play bass and I play guitar and I play drums and I sing. So it's easy for me to like construct songs.
Right.
So well before the band broke up, I had many songs written that the band didn't like. Right. That they weren't
different
Avail style.
Yeah.
But I mean, I stopped. I grew up listening to my mom's record collection. Right. Classic rock, Southern rock, folk music, country music. Right. And when my rebellion was metal and punk. Right. And then, I mean, the church I went to, they played, I called it.
Where'd you grow up?
In Northern Virginia, this church in Northern Virginia that I really like. I hated it when it was happening, but later I'm like, all I'm doing is playing my mom's church
record collection. Yeah.
No,
church music,
the church choir played. I call it. They were like. These are like the Vietnam War resistors, like Earth Mothers. This is the whole church. I mean, it's my whole family, and my dad's a non-vet. It was like, 10 women with acoustic guitars, an electric bass, and a banjo singing these rebellious versions of church hymns. And later, I realized this is what I'm playing. It's almost the same thing. But the folk music was already happening from the beginning of Avail touring. If you live on the road and play punk music and see punk shows every day, the last friggin' thing you want to hear is punk music. Okay. So I was just early in the 90s, I had already regressed into I've always kind of unschooled. When I find something, I just learn all about it. I was already like studying Woody Guthrie and
so you would
learning all of his songs.
Maybe without even really trying to, you had laid this path long before you started walking.
But it's not even laid it intentionally, just like was on that path. Right. So in 2004, in January 2004, I played my first show advertised as Tim Barry. Okay. And I was living in Oregon Hill, and my good buddy Lance, who I'd never met at the time, lived around the corner, and he had a recording studio, and him and I became very close. Lance Kohler, a minimum wage recording. I recorded like a handful of songs over there. Okay. And just handed them out to friends. Right. And German record.
CDs at that point.
CDs, burned CDs with photocopied covers.
Right.
And a German record label was insistent on putting them out. And I kept saying no.
Okay.
And then we compromised on a German-only CD release because I just wasn't comfortable with the music. But it took off from there accidentally. And that's when, and then I was, by 2005, 2006, I was touring in Europe playing that music with a backup band.
Because of that German record label?
Yeah.
That's cool.
And then I just brought it home. I learned how to play overseas.
That's crazy.
That's kind of where I cut my teeth.
Germany, France, where'd you tour?
I don't like going to France. No offense.
That's too late. I mean, they're obviously a fan. The Germans, though.
They love.
Yeah, they love you. So, do you remember the first time? I mean, obviously the style of, if someone were to, go on YouTube and play an Avail song and then play a Tim Barry song, you're going to be like, these are two. How is this possible? Do you remember the first time you played Like, your first live show as Tim Barry, was it a trip to be like,
it was great.
like the people here versus the people there? Or
I mean, it's really, I think that a lot of people thought that like me doing okay playing music on my own was based on the hard work of Avail. And I love to clarify that any Avail fan that came to see me play Kumbaya with an acoustic guitar and walked right out that
crushingly
door.
disappointed. Yeah.
And it was so bad that years later, I was on stage. I was playing a Riot Fest Presents show in Chicago, Illinois, and no disrespect to Riot Fest, but they totally misadvertised me.
Okay.
It said Tim Barry's Avail. The tickets were selling fine. I don't know why they needed to do like a big advertisement like that. And I was so offended because I had instantly, when I went on the road, made it so that no promoter could use Avail tagged in my promotions because I didn't want our hard work to be exploited. I was on my own and I wasn't going to use that.
Gonna have to make it on your own.
So I was a little annoyed by it, and my crew who was with me was surprised that night when I played an Avail song. And I did it just to spite them and to prove something to myself. No one knew it.
Right.
There was like 2 people in this, 250 person show who knew the song, and they were really excited. But everybody who I was with was like, "You're right. These are not Avail fans."
Yeah, that's right.
You have really done this on your own.
So you tested that theory and proved it correct.
Worked.
Yeah,
it
that's
worked.
amazing. I love it in your solo. How many solo albums do you have?
Oh God, too many. I really do think that this next record is my 10th.
10th. Okay.
That's insane.
Since 2004.
That's too many songs.
Wow. How many songs is that?
I don't know.
If there's 10 albums, there's at least 10 songs on every album, right?
Yeah, there's 100 songs released probably.
Why is it too many? Why is that your reaction? You obviously had something to say every time that song came to you.
I don't know why I think it's too many. I think there's 2 ways of doing music, and this is in retrospect. You either have like 2 really great records, or just keep going like I'm doing.
Just keep making.
Like a lifer. I was with my friend Laura once. We were on tour, smoking joints outside of the tour bus, and she was like, "You're a lifer." She's just stoned and looked at me. She's like, "You're a lifer." And I was like, "No, I'm not. I'm trying to quit."
Right.
All of my records, for like the last 4 records, the working title is New Songs for Last Record. So she's right. I'm a lifer.
You're a lifer. It's clear at this point. It's like a I don't know, like Springsteen meets Front Porch vibe, right? And some of obviously the lyrics are crucial, and you cover things like getting older and struggling, finding peace. Does that honesty feel risky, or did it ever feel risky?
I just write. I don't think out. I don't know. It's a really hard question to answer. I mean,
because that's what connects with your fans. Your fans.
So to lay it out again from the beginning, what I was recording, I didn't anticipate people listening to.
Okay.
These are my songs.
Right.
They're not your songs. They're your songs when they become public.
Right.
And that's why I was so resistant to them being published.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Uh-huh.
So if you go on Spotify, which drives me crazy because I can't, if the first song that pops up is the most played song, it's always going to be the first song that pops up. That song's I wrote it 22 years ago.
Which one?
It's called Avoiding Catatonic Surrender.
Right.
I was driving trucks for the Richmond Ballet.
Right.
Was picking up a load of lights in New Brunswick, New Jersey, East Brunswick.
Okay.
And wrote that song in a hotel room.
Okay.
And never thought it would leave the hotel room.
Right.
So the risk in honesty is that that's real as fuck.
Right.
That song was written with no anticipation of anyone hearing it. Now it's the #1 played song on my Spotify that I can't get out of rotation because in those lyrics, my kids should not hear.
Right. Right.
And that's the truth. So it's a hard question to answer when later I know that people are listening and anticipating, the content changes and it's not as honest and it's not as you. And
Interesting.
those are the songs you look back on and go, I shouldn't have recorded this song.
Right.
I'm thinking about somebody else. I'm thinking about
different version of
I'm
yourself?
thinking about the listener
Oh, okay.
instead of
Right.
the roots.
But I would imagine you've had plenty of fans say a song has like really helped them get through something, right? It is clearly their song also at that point. I mean, I'm assuming that feels good.
Yes.
So now it's a shared experience, you and that fan, right? And I would imagine maybe you're not. Does that change how you write songs in the future? Like, or you still have to just write them for you?
Yeah, they're just for me.
Yeah.
Yeah, the whole new record it's really coming back to it.
Do you have an artist where you're like, man, that song really helped me at this moment? Or, gosh, I was in this place in my life and
So many.
resonated. Yeah.
So many. Not one. So
Yeah.
many. I mean, I always think that my life, at least, I think most of our lives is like a maze of different phases.
Yeah.
You know, like I'm always on my way to somewhere else to get lost and cornered
Who
and
are you
figure out to come out. But like
into now?
growing up, it was, you know, like it was based on the phase I was in.
Yeah.
You know, like to reject the sort of like normalcy of the teen years. It was, you know, Leela's My Chemical Romance was me
Right.
listening to metal
Right.
or punk or going to punk shows. I think Townes Van Zandt being probably my favorite
Okay.
of all time. I've leaned heavily on his music for many years.
What's the, I'm always curious as someone who is, you know, doesn't write songs, play songs, but loves watching people like yourself. Is it hard? You write a song and what you were just describing, you're in a very specific place. Then you have to go on tour. Not have to, you choose to go on tour and you're going to play that song lots of times. Are you trying to get back to that emotional place where you wrote it? And how hard is that?
So I always think that my best live show is the one that I don't remember.
Okay.
And it's because I'm in that flow state.
Right.
I'm just, the only thing happening is
Right.
that moment.
Right.
And that's when everything makes sense.
Okay.
And that's when there's no answer to that question. Think about, I don't know if you play sports,
To do.
basketball,
Yep.
baseball, fishing, whatever you do that everything is gone,
Right.
but that, you know, the best basketball game you play
Right.
is when everyone is just all in,
Right.
all in. Then you go back, you lay down to sleep and you think about the shots and the passes.
Right.
Like that's the same vibe on stage
Yeah.
entirely for me,
Right.
not for everybody. So what I recognize about the shows that feel the best, well, if a show isn't feeling good, the first thing I do is I go in the crowd.
Right.
And then there's a connection. If it's still not feeling good, Townes Van Zandt said this, never trust a man who sings with his eyes open.
Okay.
I'll just close my eyes.
Right.
And then the songs are back to me. They're
Right.
just mine
Just you
again.
and the song,
Those are
right.
techniques that I use to find that right spot. But the way I hear the songs is, and don't tell me what it's called. Everybody knows this thing except me because I refuse to look it up. But the songs are resonating colors. So when I play a green song, I then play a red song.
Okay.
Then I play a black song. Then I play a light blue song. And so like that's how the sets are structured
And
in
the
my head.
colors correspond to.
They're never going to do two green songs in a row.
Got it.
I don't know why they work that way, but then each line is sincerely like scrolling through a postcard.
Okay.
I'll give you an example. So on the new record, there's a song called Miller and Rhodes.
That's
And
awesome.
it is, so I live across the street from old folks home that's run by Richmond Redevelopment Housing Authority.
Right.
And the girls and I have built some pretty strong relationships with the folks across the street. By the way, if you live in a neighborhood that everybody's the same, you should try to switch that up.
Right.
And I think the most important change in switching it up is to live surrounded by people of different ages, meaning very young and very old. Because I think a lot of our neighborhoods lack having a high population of elderly folks.
Right, right.
They're dependent on us,
Right.
and we're dependent on them for clarity.
Right.
Great conversations.
Right.
There's a bus stop across the street. So I'll see my neighbors waiting for the bus. A lot of them are veterans. They're going down to the VA and South Side. They're dependent on public transportation. I'll sit out and talk. And having a conversation one day, this is not intentional, just having a conversation with one of them, like, what are you doing? I'm going downtown to see the windows.
Right.
And I'm like, what? And like, it's Christmas time. I'm going downtown to see the windows.
Right.
Like, oh yeah, that's cool. And then that turns into, like dropping more
and the idea
lines
is like department store window type thing?
Going down. I think I'll make it a night. Get me a drink.
Right.
Like that kind of conversation.
Awesome.
And so that's when the lyrics come in. I'm going downtown to see the windows.
Right.
Miller and Rhodes, Christmas time.
Right.
Think I'll get me a drink first. Make it a night. That's the chorus. That, when I sing it, is a postcard of that conversation.
Right.
In black and white for whatever reason. And the rest of the song is essentially those conversations with the people that I meet, that I talk to, that I'm close with, whom I need to go and help move a dresser today. I just got old Bill.
I'm glad we reminded you that poor guy would have.
I was supposed to do it on
been waiting
Sunday.
a long time.
So hard to explain the content. Honestly, I gotta be clear about this. I usually don't talk about songwriting process. I'm really reluctant to do it. And I think that's usually because I'm dealing with music writers.
Okay.
And they're fucking annoying. I don't know what they're looking for. I don't know what answer they want. And I'm not interested in giving it to them.
Right.
I also don't do interviews. I do maybe two a year.
Right.
And that's it. I'm done. I just rather.
You're not interested in sort of rehashing all of the.
It's not even
rehashing.
I am just a private person, I think.
Yeah.
And I love music. I love playing music. I love touring. I love my friends of the road.
Right.
I feel like a migratory bird. I mean, I really like.
It's interesting because your music is so rooted in Richmond and in specific things specific to Richmond. But yes, there's also there's train tracks, right, which imply travel, and there's those themes, high on 95, right? It's really interesting.
Yeah.
What keeps you rooted here?
Well,
or do you feel rooted here? Or is this sort of just the place to come back to when you are migrating?
I would say that with Avail, we were on the road all of the time.
Right.
And Richmond, as I'm sure many people have noted, was a different place.
Yeah.
It was a great place. It was becoming known as a great place for artists to have the ability to do their art full-time and work part-time and survive without hustling. And of course that's changed. So for a band, there's no better place than Richmond for traveling up and down the East Coast and the Midwest.
Logistically, right? That makes sense.
And if the rent is 7 people in a house for $500 a month for the whole house.
Right.
I mean, with the band room in it, it's pretty
awesome.
So I don't think that's what kept us here. We really saw no use in going to the big city. Yeah. It never made sense. We turned down every major record label offer we got.
Really?
I have 2 on my own.
Really?
I have no interest. I'm in control.
Right.
And that's it.
Right. You've built a life, a family.
Yeah, I mean, that's it. I'm in control.
Right.
I think I've had moments in RVA.
Yeah.
Meaning like contemporary Richmond.
Yeah.
Where I'm like, screw this. I should move to Lynchburg or Roanoke.
Okay.
I'd be happier.
Or it feels like it's getting a little big
crowded.
for its britches. Right.
But at the same time, I'm not opposed.
You sound like my wife.
Well.
She's like, where are all these people coming from?
Well, I mean, where are they coming from?
Right.
I don't know. And I mean, there is a development crisis.
Right.
I'm going to flip that on the people who are making us feel guilty for when you say like this is being overdeveloped and they say there's a housing crisis, and I'll say, no, I think there's a development crisis because the developers you're giving the contracts to are not making affordable housing.
Right.
So the crisis is, you're throwing it back in our face. It's a development crisis and people don't have to live here.
Right.
But it is getting a little crowded, and I don't know who the people are, but I don't dislike them.
Right.
At all.
Right.
And I don't dislike growth. I dislike exploitation.
Right. Right. Yeah, no, exactly. It's a fun conversation to have. Like I said, I moved here in 2000s. I've been here long enough to see a lot of change, not as much as you, but you know, like most of the change that's centered around the James River, in my mind, has been positive. Maybe that's driven a lot of the growth. I love, you know, a lot of what, how the James River sort of shapes Richmond's identity. That's me personally, you know, whether it's, you know, your run, the loop, the Butterbank Loop, right? And those kinds of things.
I love it.
And, you know, all of the different races, and, you know, you sit here long enough, you'll see people kayak past you, you know, like that's crazy. What other city is that
and
happening
you wouldn't
in?
see all that kayaking in the 90s.
Right.
You know, I mean, I will say, I remember when I decided that Richmond had changed from Richmond to RVA.
Yeah.
In Richmond,
Right.
if you had a rock on the river
Right.
and you were chilling, fishing or just sitting,
Yeah.
having a beer, whatever you're doing.
Yeah.
In Richmond, a person would walk up and go, they got that spot, and then they go this way.
You find this rock.
And in
yeah.
RVA, they're like, oh, look, they're partying. And they go to your rock when all of these other rocks are open. And you go, what are you doing?
Bro, my rock.
And they're like, hang on a second. So I call them RVAers.
Yeah.
Sometimes I like do the acronym. Remember, the acronym originally is the acronym of RVA is the acronym of the counterculture,
Right.
which was later branded.
Right.
I mean,
Became branded.
in the 80s is the first time I ever saw it on Grace.
Oh, interesting.
In Grace and Harrison.
So before it was a sticker on cars.
Oh, no. This
Yeah,
is
like
the 80s.
that's way before that.
No, the
Interesting.
RVA skins,
Right.
like the old anti-racist skinheads from the 80s,
Okay.
RVA punks,
interesting.
Punk Nation RVA. I mean, this is going back to
Yeah,
80s
I didn't
and
know
90s.
any of this.
And so a lot of people who have always been involved in the counterculture in Richmond are really bummed about the rebranding of the city using the
Right. They
counterculture's
stole
acronym.
RVA.
So now I'll sit around, I'll be in the studio doodling, and I'll write RVA, rent too high, vape shops, aggressive drivers. You know what I mean?
Right,
It's
right.
like the modern version of it.
Vape shop.
But
My
the
God.
vape shops, you gotta do something about it. But again, like not opposed to the growth. I think the other moment that I realized that it was RVA and not Richmond is when I do run the loop,
Yeah.
where I do go on a walk and people don't respond when I say hello or good morning.
Right.
And that to me is like, you know, there's an honor culture that comes, like
Right.
Virginians have definitely an honor
Yeah.
culture. Like you hold the door,
Right.
you say you're polite.
Right.
You don't walk past someone
On a trail
and
like
not
this.
say
Yeah.
hello.
It's 100% one of my
It's
pet
so
peeves.
strange.
My dad
It's
was
so-
the same way.
It's so
He killed him.
strange. But with all of that said, you know, life changes, things change, and they will continue to. I think the park system is our greatest asset.
Yeah.
And maybe, you know, my greatest frustration sometimes with the changes. I am
The
from
park system is?
Yeah, well, because of crowding.
Yeah.
And that's just going to continue, and we just got to work together to make it better. I'm from the Ralph White era.
Yeah.
I always looked up to him. I still look up
It's
to
hard
him.
not to be nostalgic for that era.
He really, you know, Ralph White in particular, though we have never met or corresponded, I have truly looked up to for a really long time. I love my first conversation with him. I love silently watching all of the work that he was doing
Right.
in the James River Park system,
Right.
whether approved or not by the city.
Right.
I knew what he was up to,
Yeah.
and I supported it.
He was pretty punk rock in a way. wasn't he?
Well, you know, I always say that Woody Guthrie was the first punk,
Right.
and I'll just continue that to say Ralph White is the second punk.
Yeah, totally.
He was no joke, and
Sign making.
I mean, everything about him. I mean, it's just thinking like, you know, I was thinking about it the other day when I was running. You know, North Bank Trail was one of I had secret spots all
Yeah.
over this city.
Yeah.
North Bank Trail is new. In my brain, it's still brand new.
Right. Right.
And that was a deer trail.
Right.
And where Bubba's Bench was one of my camps.
Right.
Where I would take out-of-towners and we'd make a fire and chill and drink
Right,
beer
right,
and watch
right.
the trains come in and out. And when it was taken from me,
Right.
which is
By usage.
appropriate
Right.
and given to the public.
Right.
At first, it was an adjustment, and that's what the park system has been to me since well before that moment. It's the adjustment of watching your secret spots or your special spots. I've been fishing this corridor of Mayo Island, I call it Mayo or Buzzards Island, for so long.
Right.
And now it's going to be populated.
Right.
And I am so excited.
When they're turning it into a park.
Because they're turning adding it to the James River Park system. I'm so excited that everyone else is going to be able to share it. And I'm so thankful that I had that secret spot for so long.
Right.
You know, so it's like that growing pains. I think about like another thing I was thinking as I was running what was once a deer trail on North Bank is from Ralph to now, how much effort and work so many people have put into making Richmond even better than it possibly could have ever been.
Right.
In anyone's, like foreshadowing of where we could be in 2025. I'm thinking specifically about the Richmond, the James River Park System trail crews work on North Bank in the last 3 months.
Right.
It's unprecedented.
Yeah, it's
These
crazy.
are 4 people just killing it, rerouting, taking out bridges, rebuilding. I mean, it's just, it's so worth exploiting this park system that it's hard to be frustrated with its growth. But at the same time, it's hard
not to be
find,
nostalgic.
like we don't go to the river on the weekends.
Right.
I walked the loop 2 Sundays ago.
Right.
I was met by people on dirt bikes, not e-bikes, full-blown dirt bikes.
Gas, dirt bikes. Right.
A lady, a handful of people driven by a woman driving her car on the main trail from crossing the Reedy Creek parking lot, the train tracks, and then turning left, driving to Nickel Bridge.
On the main trail.
Where
do what?
Where RVA Paddle Sports.
Yeah,
and,
like where they
and,
put in Riverside Outfitters.
And Outsider. Yeah. Just
to get to a spot that she wanted to get
to. And I
to.
normally would not stop someone, but I asked them to roll down the tinted sedan windows.
Right.
It's like, are y'all lost?
Right.
And they're like, no. And I was like, you can't drive here.
Right.
And I don't want to be a cop.
Right. I was in a punk band.
But I was like, hang on a second.
Like,
y'all can't drive here. And they're like, okay. And then they turned around and parked their car and just started partying. And like, maybe for those who don't know what we're talking about with the James River Park system, it's absurd.
It's absurd.
For this person to be driving a car and partying.
On the trail.
It's almost like if you live in Boston and you're in Boston Commons and someone just drives their car up. Or in Central Park or Golden Gate, Golden Gate Park, somebody just like drives their car up and just stops and starts partying.
Right.
And somebody says, like we're having a picnic here. This is the first time I met Ralph.
Right.
Maybe 95, 96. So you would come down the suspension bridge and basically you just try to get speed to go right up Bell.
Okay.
Right. And then, so you do the loop up there. It's not that exciting. You kind of loop it a couple times. And then you'd come down, usually either one of the drops on the other side. There's about 4 drops.
Oh yeah.
Or you just come down where you started. Like stop at the top. I'm like kind of track standing and I see Ralph with a group of like students.
Yeah.
And he's really acting as ambassador at this point. So Richmond people won't go to the river. They think it's scary.
Right.
Scarier now than it was then.
Right.
I won't even get into that. But I can see he's like, the more people who come down here, the more of these people will come back. Like that's his mentality.
100%.
Super.
Right.
I'm like vibing that.
Yeah.
And I'm like up there track standing. I'm like, there's that park guy.
Right.
And then I kind of just slowly go down. I'm not like ripping or nothing. And then he's like, mountain biker. And I'm like, yeah, what's up? And he's like, we were just talking about erosion. And he goes, know anything about erosion? And I was like, oh man. Just like wrote off. I was like, classic. Now I know that's classic Ralph White.
Right. You were like, what's this guy? What's he talking about?
But he was so right.
Right. No. And now there's like you build trails to to mitigate erosion, and it's like trying to figure out. That's so Ralph.
Yeah, it's so Ralph.
Oh.
Yeah, he was a one-man machine back
He
then.
was a
There was two guys who would empty the trash, and Ralph.
Right.
That was it.
I mean, I remember seeing him. You're like driving on Riverside Drive. It'd be like 7 o'clock at night on a Friday, and he's right there, one of the parking lots, like emptying trash.
Yeah, dude.
By himself.
And separating the cans.
Right.
It was wild.
And you know why he did that? He did that to raise money for the park.
I know.
To get whatever you could get for like, 1 million aluminum cans.
Crazy.
All right, let's do like some quick hitters.
Okay.
Boom. You can't think. You just gotta say, first song you learned to play.
The first song I ever learned to play was a song I wrote.
Okay, what is it?
Because I've never been able to learn other people's songs. Only recently have I started learning other people's songs because my daughter wants to sing songs, so I'm learning them.
Okay.
It went, go to school every day, don't know why I don't pay, this sucks, this sucks, this sucks, this sucks. My first song. Bar chords. In a square.
Favorite lyric you've ever written?
If it ain't free, then steal it.
Okay. Which song was that from?
Wait at Milano. And then the next line says, if it ain't necessity, you don't need it. Leave what's left for who comes next.
Okay. Last great show you saw as a fan?
My Chemical Romance.
In Boston?
Yeah.
Awesome.
As a new fan.
That's cool. Have you been to the new amphitheater yet? The new Allianz amphitheater? You seen any shows there?
Yeah, I had a disappointing visit to there during the folk festival.
Was it? I actually didn't get to go to the folk.
So
is it open?
Yeah, and I don't mean to complain. I know everybody's got a complaint or two about the Aliens amphitheater, but
right.
I heard the guys in Guar call it the Aliens amphitheater. I thought that was great. But they did it like Guar. They were like, we're going to the Aliens amphitheater. I was like, No, Leela and I, my other daughter, sat the folk festival out, and Leela and I went to join the Justin Golden benefit event over there with like the hot seats and Andrew Ali and Josh Small and like a handful of other folks.
Okay.
And Justin Golden himself playing. And it was a little disappointing that I couldn't bring my coffee in, and you couldn't bring any back. Like it was just crazy. And
prices are crazy.
I just felt like I felt like for this special event that was like a community event for a community member who is dealing with a very difficult medical situation, that they could drop the maybe just don't sell for the afternoon and let us come in with our coffees.
Gotcha. Yeah, that's fair. So you haven't seen that's the only show.
No nighttime things. Although where my daughters and I live, I can hear the shows depending on which way the wind is blowing.
Yeah, where I live, right by the Nickel Bridge, you can hear the Maymont shows.
Oh, right on.
Like literally, it's crazy. I remember, Jazz Fest, Richmond Jazz Fest.
Oh, I bet you can hear that.
That is loud. Like, I remember standing in my front yard, and it was like, this was 2 Jazz Fests ago, it was like a Ludacris concert was happening in my front yard.
That's crazy.
All the lyrics, it was like, I can't remember the one song, what it's called. Anyway, like there's a couple Ludacris songs and it was like, it was happening in my front yard. It was amazing.
Yeah, it's a trip how when the wind blows, and I guess this season will be done when the leaves are down, but I mean, wow. Yeah, the new amphitheater is something to consider.
There's new shows. I mean,
it's great. It's great again for the community, but as a person who lived in Oregon Hill for a real long time, I don't know how they're dealing with it.
Right.
That's got to be really difficult. I know that Ben, who does waterfront RVA, has had his difficulties, and I'm about to start putting in some emails to the city to request pressure on Live Nation, who owns the venue.
Yeah.
I'm going to put pressure on the city in the hopes that Live Nation will do the right thing and hire electricians so our vehicles can tie in shore power instead of running generators on the James River in the middle of the city. Right. So if you have like the Dave Matthews Band show, for example, I don't know the number of 53-foot trucks, but let's just say there was a dozen and then say 6 to 8 tour buses. Right. All of those were running generators the entire time.
Right. For 2 days.
In normal Live Nation venues in urban centers, there is shore power, like you would use if you had a camper at a campsite. And we're getting shorted and our environment's getting shorted.
Right.
And people like Ben from Waterfront RVA, who has a business on the waterfront
Right.
that requires some clean air for the people who are coming to rent paddle boards and
Right.
kayaks from his facility. We all deserve to have some clean air. And I just think that, a big company like Live Nation has plenty,
Yeah.
and
they can
they can
afford
go ahead and tie in so we can tie in.
Would you ever play a concert there? Or that's sort of bigger than what you prefer. I feel like Sharps Island might be kind of the perfect outdoor venue for you. Like, talk about 200 people.
Truthfully,
make this happen.
my greatest interest right now is to do shows. I can play a lot of places.
Sure.
I'm very specific about when I play and where I play.
Okay.
It's like another instrument in my arsenal.
Okay.
And I believe in it being the right place. I could play a lot of places in Richmond, but I am honing in on something that I think would be really special other than my annual Novemberfest shows at the Camel, which would be a free event in a city-run facility that is off everyone's radar.
That'd be cool.
And if it comes to fruition, I'll let it.
So you're starting to work on it.
Yeah.
And
I think a free outdoor event would be really special, especially because there's no exchange of money.
Right.
And if there's a rain date, it's just added. There's no complicated refunds and all the garbage that the sort of big businesses are attached to.
Novemberfest, before we forget, that's at the Camel. The shows are sold out.
Okay, so let me give a little overview on Novemberfest. So every November since maybe 2017, Novemberfest is a series of shows that I do in Richmond, Virginia every year. It's like an annual thing.
Right.
If I retire right now, I'm hopefully going to continue to do these shows. They're the Camel here in Richmond, Virginia. They started by accident. I kept finishing tours in Richmond in November because I always get home just before Thanksgiving.
Right.
And I realized after a number of times I had played in Richmond about the same weekend every year as the migratory bird I am.
Right.
And at some point I said, and I think it's recorded somewhere, I said, maybe we should make this an annual event. And then I did.
Right.
And it grew from like a 1-show event every year to a 2-show to a 3-show event. And the reason I like to do these annual events is as I grow older and many of the people who are interested in the music that I play grow older and have kids, they want to know, they want to have something on the calendar each year. Something I've learned from my dad, who is getting up in age. The reason he's happy is he always has something to look forward to.
Yeah.
I took him to get tattooed recently by Amy Black. She's like, he's doing great. And I was like, it's because he was so looking forward to this and researching all the work you do. And when he's done with this, he's got something else on his calendar. That's the idea of doing an annual show. So Novemberfest shows are sold out. It's a Friday show. It's always going to showcase regional folks. My daughter Leela Jane's playing. Brendan Parfit's playing a song, an old Blaze Foley song. Julie Carr is playing that night. Roger Harvey's coming in from Nashville. I'll play. It sounds long, but it's really condensed. It's a really sort of like round robin, and then everybody hits it. The Saturday show is also sold out, and that is Sally Rose, Andrew Ollie, Josh Small, and I playing. The Sunday show is where my heart is. And that originally started as a storyteller set where I would do a reduced capacity and do like a more storyteller style show. But I cut that out because that's stupid. And now it's a family show. And this is like a show that is catered to elementary school age children. I reduced the capacity.
At the Camel?
Yeah, at the capacity. It's a Sunday show. The doors are at 5. I reduced the capacity to like 175, so it's not too crowded. My daughters have spent the whole week filling gift bags, making friendship bracelets. I buy a guitar every year. We do a free raffle. So that's first place is this.
Is this sold out as well?
Yeah.
Okay.
This first place is a guitar. It's a free raffle. Just you get the gift bags and you come in. Second place is going to be a gift certificate to World of Mirth, and like third place will be whatever you want from the merch table. Super special. Everybody who plays Novemberfest does the shows. We do like, it's pretty short, like 25 minutes. Then we do like an intermission. We fill the whole place with balloons. It's so fun. It's the best time. It's like, it really kind of gets you in the holiday vibe.
But there's like a cleanup also, right?
But so that's the musical side of it. And then this is, other than the family show, that's the overview. This is the most important part to me.
Right.
And this is the community events. And people have asked, like, why do you put so much effort into like things like community events? And the answer is pretty simple. It's time we get off the app and back to reality.
Right.
And if reality is getting together and doing a good thing together in person,
right,
and remembering that your neighbors are awesome despite what you may think or
right,
see online, then that's the right thing. That's why I'm motivated to do this. I also have a deep love for the James River Park system, and it's where I spend most of my time. I live right near it. I've lived next to it for within a block or two for 25 years.
Right.
If I wasn't living right next to it, I wouldn't live here. And it's that simple. I love it, and I want to take care of it, and I know other people do too. So on the Saturday of Novemberfest, so that would be November 21st, led by the James River Park System Trail crew and RVA Moore, we're rebuilding, we're actually adding a section of mountain bike trail to bypass pedestrian trail on North Bank.
Oh, nice.
And we're also clearing out basically an abandoned homeless encampment. I'm positive it's abandoned. I talked to the people who live there. I'm going to go in with the trail crew and get sort of like the aspects of the camp that I don't feel comfortable with kids sorting through out of there first. We're going to have two teams. One team goes in and finishes the trash cleanup, and the next team comes in and completes this trail. That's the first day. Hike Seltzer is going to be filling the cooler. The next day has gotten huge. It will be the 4th annual big cleanup. And that's
like a litter cleanup?
It's a litter cleanup.
Right.
It is led by me, James River Park System staff, friends of the James River Park, and Keep Virginia Cozy. And we sort of split into pods, and friends in Cozy provide all the grabbers and bags. And man, I wish I had the statistics. But last year, Keep Virginia Cozy was thrust into their over 1 million pounds of litter removed from public space.
That's cool.
At that one. We filled up a dump truck plus of trash from the Belle Isle area. So
Just
from the Belle Isle area. That's where we meet at the 22nd Street parking lot at 11 o'clock. Anyway, all those details
we can put that graphic
all
up.
those details are easy to find.
On the screen.
And then I think the other thing that's hugely important to me, that's kind of been attached but maybe kind of swept under, is I do a food drive for Feed More on there, which is a great organization, but they get a lot of attention.
Yeah.
Each year we've maybe gotten 700 to 900 pounds of food. All of those donations go directly to the Camel, and then I fill up my pickup truck and I get a bunch of kids and we go up and take it up. But I think the other organization that I really kind of want to give a shout out to is Little Hands here in Richmond, Virginia, whose charity does work that I find to be so instrumental in benefiting families whom now are really struggling more than they ever have been. And Little Hands collects goods for families with children. And we added a diaper drive on to the donation drives starting last year, and we maybe got 1,500 diapers donated. This year, I would love to double that and try to get 3,000 to 4,000 diapers donated during the Novemberfest weekend, so that we can pass them on to Little Hands, who then distribute them to hubs within the community, and families in need can get them directly. I just can't imagine the suffering of conscience that parents might have to go through in deciding whether they feed their children or are able to buy diapers.
Right.
So that's kind of a wrap on Novemberfest weekend. I will say that this is done entirely by me and my daughters, and we put in a tremendous amount of effort, and I believe in it. and we're going to keep doing it because, again, like getting off the app and getting together in person to me is more important than it ever has been.
That's awesome. I love it. Tim, that was fun. That was
I
great.
appreciate y'all having me.
Heck yeah, man. And what a day.
It's kind of perfect.
One, two, three,